Hello and a very warm welcome. You are with World Business Report. So France is trying to return to some kind of normality today after the attacks in Paris on Friday. The stock market is due to open as usual this morning, and there is expected to be a drop at the start of trade in share prices, but most analysts agree that will be an initial knee-jerk reaction and will be short-lived, with a prolonged market reaction unlikely. Public transport should be running as usual, normal today in France. Schools will reopen. Museums and other attractions will also be open as usual. However, some of the more vulnerable sites, such as the Eiffel Tower, will remain closed. Also, Disneyland Paris is going to stay closed until Wednesday. Well, to talk us through the effects of all of this, I'm joined by Yannick, Naud, a London-based French financial analyst and investor. Yannick, thank you so much for coming in. So, as we've just outlined there, as much as possible, France is trying to have a normal week in terms of stock markets and business.
Yeah, it will be business as usual. I mean, the stock market will reopen like it always do. What we have seen from the market in Asia is that the market is likely to be slightly down, but nothing near what could have been estimated earlier during the weekend. All in all, we think that tourism and transportation should be the most affected in terms of stock market, maybe luxury, maybe insurance company as well. But all in all, the impact will be very, very small.
Also as well, in terms of the nature of this terrorist attack, it happened well after the markets closed across Europe on Friday. So the whole weekend has taken place for people to digest what's happening, why, and what the outcome that could have on the French economy. That in itself helps, doesn't it, for it to be a more rational response this morning.
If we compare with what happened during the July 7 bombing in London or in the Madrid attack in March 2004, those attacks happened during market hours, and we saw a sharp sell-off and maybe some kind of panic. In this case, this is a horrific event, but it was after the market closed, and therefore I think investors had plenty of time to see what will be the rationale for investing in French economy or in Europe. And all in all, the impact for the European economy or for French economy is quite small.
Also as well, it can't be underestimated, can it, the response on the part of those around the world globally, but also in France in terms of solidarity. If anything, businesses are supported in these situations, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, there's been plenty of economic studies about what was the impact of terrorist attacks on developed economies since September 11. And more often than not, we see some stronger consumer spending, some very strong resilience, in fact some even further consumption, because people don't want to change their way of life, and they think that by spending a bit more, they will do the part of it for the economy. So all in all, it's likely to be in the long term. It will not be a negative event.
And it could have been any capital city in Europe, or actually anywhere in the world for that matter. This is a global risk that is something that cannot be priced in or predicted. Therefore, it's just something that, as financial markets globally, we have to just get used to.
Unfortunately, terrorism could happen anywhere. I mean, it could happen anywhere in Europe. As we've seen this weekend, some of the people were coming from Belgium or from Germany. They could come from everywhere in Europe. It's as an industrial accident. It's something that you can't price in advance. But all in all, in the long term, the impact is usually quite small.
All right, Yannick, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for coming in. And just to say that in terms of reaction on markets, so as Yannick mentioned, markets in Asia opened lower because of what's happened. The euro's at a 6-month low at the moment versus the US dollar. And some shares in Asia being affected, like airline stocks, for example. We'll keep you across the reaction as it does happen in Europe, of course, when the days begin.